Well, some places got snowfall over the weekend. More snow could be on the way and soaking rains in the drought-stricken south. So Kansas got quite the snowfall over the last few days near Wichita. A lot of snow, 6 to 12 inches, even a 14-inch amount in Marion, Kansas, just north of Wichita, and some lighter snowfall amounts across much of the Central Plains as well, and up into Vermont and New Hampshire. In the higher elevations, mountain snows up to a foot plus of some snowfall there, but overall it's a lackluster snowfall season so far compared to last year at this time. It's subtle, but if you look, you don't see many yellow areas in the upper Midwest and the Northeast compared to last year at this time, but also even in the Rockies, areas that should get snow all through the November period with those higher elevation, colder spots, not seeing it. And the big difference is temperatures. Look at November temperature anomalies compared to last year. It was much colder across most of the lower 48 last year compared to this year. A typical La Nina pattern early last winter compared to a pretty typical El Nino pattern. But colder air has been blowing across the central and eastern U.S. Look at the temperatures early this morning, below freezing for most areas and downright cold, teens across Minnesota and Wisconsin. Wind chills were, of course, even colder, with the winds blowing sub-zero across most of Minnesota, western Wisconsin, extending up into central Canada. And it's that cold air blowing across the Great Lakes, creating lots of lake effect snow here over the next couple of days. Whenever you get that cold air moving over the relatively warm waters this time of year. So we've got lots of scattered snowfall advisories and winter storm warnings near those Great Lakes snows, but also some freeze warnings in California. We don't often talk about wintry weather in California, except in the Sierra Nevada when they get snowfall. But in the Central Valley, some of those areas do typically get cold in the winter, and freeze warnings through the Central Valley areas of California where temperatures will be right near or even below freezing tonight, and it was early Monday morning as well. So cold in some form or another affecting the weather for much of the country. The big snows, UP and Michigan, that's where we have winter storm warnings where up to 6 to 12 inches of lake effect snow will fall, and also upstate New York near the Great Lakes there, and then into Maine we've got some leftover snow, and northern Vermont and New Hampshire. And the wind is just lined up perfectly across the Great Lakes, that northwest or west to east flow across those open, warm waters of all the Great Lakes. Even Lake Superior, the coldest of those lakes, still relatively warm and above normal for this time of year. So snowfall forecasts really line up to those areas near the water. You get further from the lakes, and of course, you're not going to really see much snow, but it's really going to be piling up for places in Pennsylvania and New York, Buffalo, and some of those areas that are typical Great Lakes snow producers are going to see quite a bit of it. We're also watching a storm system develop in the south here as we head into the later part of the week. A big rainmaker for Texas into Oklahoma, Louisiana, Arkansas, Mississippi. And this is welcome news because a lot of these areas are pretty drought stricken. We're going to see 1 to 3 inches of rain widespread across Arkansas, eastern Texas, and throughout much of Louisiana. And they've been in quite the drought, exceptional drought for most of Louisiana. Now, this is an area that should be pretty wet near the Gulf of Mexico, but they've been in a really dry pattern. Hopefully this El Nino winter takes them out of that. It's typically a wet winter for the southern states. But then we're watching a weekend storm that could bring snow to parts of the upper Midwest, as well as more rain in the south and east. So we'll have to keep our eye on that heading into the weekend. The first weekend of December might finally bring a little bit of snow. Too early to pinpoint details or the track, but somewhere in the upper Midwest. But we'll also see some snowfall in the Rockies as well here over the next several days. So wintry weather, slow start, but might see a little bit more of that here as we head into these first days of December.